You're listening to Convenience Matters, brought to you by Nax. We'll talk about what we see at stores and what the future may hold for our industry.
There are a lot of small operators out there, and they all have different ways of doing business. We're going to talk to one small operator who has millions of hits on YouTube, also on Facebook, and has really created a viral sensation around his store, and it's helped his business. It can help yours too. Joining us today is Babir Sultan. He is CEO of FavTrip, and he has a whole bunch of stuff he can teach us about video and how do you roll out that brand. So welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So we are featuring you in Ideas to Go, talking about your new store that is a step up from your previous stores. You want to just start, before we dive into talking about video and some other things, give us a little overview about FavTrip, how you started, where you evolved to.
Yeah, so we were operating a single store, and in the past we always acquired existing sites. So we try to make the most we can from our existing sites. So this site that's going to be in the Ideas to Go is accumulation of ideas to go over the years that we've been learning. And it was always on my checklist to have a store built from ground up. So I learned everything you can, but learning is only as good as until you execute or you apply it, right? So that idea came to life, and we actually built our first ground up store in Grandview, Missouri. And
one significant part of that store is you have a selfie wall, because you found that in previous stores, people would just come by and it's like, that's FavTrip. We know them from the videos. So you created a space inside the store. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes, it's always about listening to your customer, being aware of what they're looking for, what they're saying about your store. So when we garnish our online kind of persona and following, we build a good following. We used to get email from people that would say, we're going to be driving 8 hours from different states. Is it okay if you post or we take a selfie and we share it with you? I was like, absolutely, why not? So when we're building in the new store, we're very intentional about having a selfie wall where people could stand and take pictures. And right now at the other stores, since there were existing stores and they're very small footprint, 1,500 square foot or less sometimes, we have an outside mural artwork where they stand and take pictures. So we wanted to apply a lot of that and create the buzz around, that they're visiting a FavTrip site. And it means a lot to us when they're approaching us instead of the other way around, where, people pay influencers to come to their store. Our customers are our biggest influence. So we follow what they want us to do.
So you have people that drive 8 hours because you're an internet sensation.
It's a good problem to have, yeah. Or we get emails that people say, when are you coming to Florida, New Mexico, or New York? I was like, we're not a chain. We also have other operators asking us if we were franchised out. That's not our intention at all. I think when they see online or maybe the in-person presence, and I have to thank our staff for carrying the torch when it comes to these things, because the in-person experience is very crucial as well. They think with some kind of franchise who has it figured out, and we don't. We're just learning on the go kind of thing. So we're flattered by that, but we have no intentions of going out of the Midwest kind of area at all.
So I think where Jeff was going with that was you've turned a very negative into a positive for your brand and awareness, and use social media for that. If you want to explain what we're talking about here.
Yeah, the accidental finding for us was when we started the business 15 years ago, we used to go to other gas stations, and they would post pictures of people shoplifting or somebody that wrote a bad check. I think some rural areas still do that today because it's a small community and people know each other, and then they say, hey, take that down. And we started doing that, but we thought it was too tacky. Then Facebook comes along, and we don't have any following, but we post somebody's picture with the comment of what they stole. We started seeing some traction. And then my background, originally I'm from New York. I used to work at JFK Airport, and I had a friend that used to shoot films and edit films over the weekend. And I kind of started hanging out with him. So I was like, hey, besides the picture, I think I could do a video of this too. So I started posting raw videos with no commentary. And then that garnished a lot of attention, even more than before. And then we tried to up it up, and we like challenging ourselves. And then we started doing commentary on it. And then collabing with other YouTubers like Gas Station Encounter, who has 2 million followers, and him doing as a guest commentator. So even to this day, if somebody comes back and says, "Hey, I'll pay for what I stole," we will take down their video. We're not here to embarrass them by any means. But the Independence, Missouri store had a serious problem where there were 5 to 6 shoplifters a day. But when people started noticing that we will point it out, we were struggling to find people that would shoplift from us. So we were running out of content, which was a good problem to have. But recently, that's not a problem. It looks like shoplifting is on the rise. If you look at the trend in UK and Canada and even US now, it's a heavy topic right now. And people contributed to different things. But as a retailer, we want to give our take on it. But it garnished us many, many followers. Over on our highest peak on Facebook was almost 19 million people a month. And on YouTube, we hit 84,000 subscribers right now.
And I know your goal is you have signs in your stores. We want to get to 100,000.
Yeah.
So maybe we can help a little bit with that. And
yeah, help us reach 100K.
But not by shoplifting.
No. And we want to change up the content. We don't get a joy or poking fun at people, but we are switching up the content a little bit more to show behind the scenes stuff and things like that. For sure.
I mean, we visited your stores. You certainly, you are on the forefront of retail here. You're not just building a ground store up and seeing what happens. You have some really great ideas in there. I like the drive-through. You have a drive-through. I was searching ferociously for a dog to go through the drive-through because I know you take care of dogs when they go through. Yeah. I didn't get it on video, but I tried.
Yeah. Well, we noticed big dogs like certain biscuit versus smaller dogs, and we started, taking action about that too. So we definitely have a following of dogs that love coming through the drive-through for sure.
Man's best friend.
So just closing out, or at least at least the first part with the shoplifting videos. And as you mentioned, it's a heavy topic. It's nobody likes to know that somebody's trying to take advantage of them. You said that if you're really in need, we'll help Absolutely. You out. But this isn't really the case. This is people that are stealing for different reasons. How do you find the right tone to take a heavy topic and make it light without being mean? Because that's a really, really fine line.
It is, yeah. And many chain operators that have great in-person store, but online they don't have as much as following as us. It's a very sensitive topic, and I see where they're coming from. I think we just try to make it comedic as possible, and and then again, you're right, absolutely. Our staff is trained. If somebody comes in and they're in need or want a drink or even a sandwich, we'll be more than happy to do that. But if somebody, has a stash of cash and, we don't take that lightly. You're just taking advantage of the situation. And that's where the heavy topics come in, where people say, well, retailers are to blame because of the prices are high and people are stealing. I don't know if Reese's Pieces or Snicker bar will fill you for the day if you're stealing that while you have a stash of cash. Or we had people driving sports car and really showing off a nice sports car, but petty theft. There's something between the lines. But back to your question, I think we just try poking fun in a light manner and not being too mean about it. But at the same time, the local customers for sure know that if they come back and make it right, we will be more than happy to take down the video. It's not meant for, hey, this is there for life to embarrass you by any means, no.
And a big part of having one video with more than 4 million views, you have 80,000 plus and growing subscribers. Once you hit a certain level, you get paid, right? Yeah. So what that's allowed, I presume, you to do is take some of that money that YouTube, Facebook is giving you and either add more to create more content or do something else with the business. So it's not just views that that just are a nice number. You're able to do something with those views.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's always, as entrepreneurs, is like you start thinking out of the box. What can you do with that AdSense revenue or monetize? Which you're always at the mercy of the algorithms, right? So what we've been able to do is create more jobs. We finally have a paid internship for a college student, and a lot of them apply for it because they know we have a following already. And I went to college, and there's always two kinds of jobs when it comes to social media, what you could take on. One would be a brand that wants you to bring them up somewhere. You're starting at zero. Well, a lot of college students, they rather look at some raw data numbers and have an established following and figure out how do we optimize that. So we have a college student now. We have editors that edit the videos because I can't do it all while trying to run a business. And to top it off, we do have live security now as well. That if you watch our latest videos, they will talk live and tell people, hey, you need to get that out of your pocket right now. Or there's going to, and you'll be surprised at some local customers if there's two people. There was a video not too long ago where one buddy was stealing and the other one says, hey, put that back. They got live security here. So we always get a crack at that. So it's like creating jobs as well for us and trying to utilize that for sure.
And college, since you mentioned college students, that's also a big part of what you do. You've used the local college, and it's important to mention this because everyone is near a college, a community college, a four-year university, or even a high school. And these are students with good ideas, and they are core customers. So whether it's ideas about how to cut video, you've also used students in other capacities to help them learn a little bit about business and also help you improve your store offer.
Absolutely. Yeah. It can't be a one-man show or trying to figure out, one-person show. Our resource to go to is obviously NACS a lot of times. And then, like, for example, I'll give you another example. Like, TikTok is not my cup of tea. I don't know it. I don't understand it. But we do have a student that has the full credentials with this two-step authentication by me, where he has the freedom to post as things as he likes. I mean, when I talk to big brands, the big fear is, well, I don't understand it, but I'm in my 40s and I don't want to do TikTok now. I don't want to do cringy. Let somebody else do it. And there's great brands that we do business with today. For example, Sour Patch. I mean, they're doing such a phenomenal job with their TikTok, right? But for us too, this podcast is all about learning as well, is that you got to pick and choose your battles. Like for me, we're heavily invested on YouTube. Second option is Facebook. I'm not big on Instagram, even though we do post, and Twitter or even TikTok. But as a retailer, you got to understand where your customers are, where you want to invest your efforts in, and where you want to find help to do that. And that's one aspect of the college. The other, I would be guilty if I didn't mention the other side of utilizing students. For example, a lot of big brands have sophisticated software, in-house software that they use for location finding. We teamed up with universities like University of Iowa. We teamed up with the University of Rockhurst University, Kansas City here. And just because another university is out of state doesn't mean as a local business you can't reach out to them and say, hey, I have this problem. Can you help me solve it? They helped us with location finding. So the location that's going to be featured in Ideas to Go, Grandview, is the work of college students telling us this will make for an A site, B site, or a C grade site. And we made the decision accordingly then.
You talked, when you talked about some customers saying, well, the retailer's to blame, and thinking about like we're gouging or we're charging too much, it almost maybe that explains some of your newer type videos that you've rolled out, something called the Gas Station Diaries, which takes things not just around shoplifting and people monkeying around stores in a negative way, but now you're teaching, and you're teaching, I presume, for other retailers that may want to learn a little bit more, but also I assume for the general public, where you can teach them what our industry does, so that when you remove the idea of mystery and explain what's going on, then people are like, oh, I get it. I see why things are done now.
Yeah, and I think it's a similar idea of what you guys have done with the does the president set the gas prices, right? That it's the same perspective where people don't know. They come up to the store and say, "My God, why
Right.
would you charge so much?" And the cashier's like, "I don't set the prices here. We're the last person." Like the article says, we are the last people that get a saying in this gas prices thing. If we had it our way, we would rather have the gas be under $2. We can have more in-store sales. People have more money to spend inside, which, as you know, is bulk of our profit comes from. But I think it goes back to and I'm passionate about education. If anybody read the book Strength Finder, I'm a life learner, and we practice that in our culture in our company as well, where we encourage our staff to get education and we support them. But I think it goes back to educating the general public that behind that's our second YouTube channel, which I was more than willing to take on it because it's different than our primary FavTrip channel. The second channel is just under my name, Babir Sultan. So we get a lot of questions from gas station operators and non-people that, hey, if I was to break into the industry, what do I do? The first thing we want them to tell them is attend the NACS trade show. Second, they could start watching these videos or listen to the podcast to get a feel of it. Same thing if I'm looking at other industries, whether it's real estate, car wash, those are some of the things I would do. And I wish there was something out there that tells us. So my idea behind the second channel was to show a more light behind the scenes and this store is very in a rough neighborhood, and I think you guys are taking on the topic of crime and gas stations, right? So our idea is show you behind the scenes. Why is this a rough area? What can we do? What is the retailer's responsibility, and what can we do? Or maybe it's a lost cause and we call it a day. So we're going to put all of that in motion within a year as we take over this store and as we do things there. So it was just a nice kind of behind the scenes stuff that we want to educate people on that is very different behind the scenes.
Do you have any suggestions for retailers? As I said, everyone has a college, school, or students nearby and they're much more savvy on video than folks who are not students.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips, 3-part process or anything like that you would suggest for how somebody gets started? And then how do they monitor whether it's working or not?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The first thing I would say is reach out to whoever's nearby you. Reach out. If they don't have the answers, they probably direct you to the right person, right? Be involved. We just opened up Grandview back in February, and I already been to the high school more than once. We did a small competition for artwork. The artwork that's here, they're doing some competition about that, and we're rewarding them. So be involved and talk to the professors, talk to the college students, or even high school. That's the first thing you have to do. I think a lot of people are hesitant, or the first thing is they actually don't know what they need. I think really figuring out, even asking your employees, start with your employees and ask them, where do you spend your time? Is it on TikTok, Snapchat? We failed at Snapchat. I'm not going to say we're killing it on every social media that we land. I tried doing Snapchat. I couldn't figure it out. I have to be honest with choosing my battles. I don't want to take the journey on Snapchat right now. But if everybody and their mother said that we are on Snapchat, I'll probably drop one of the platforms and focus my attention over there. But I think in the early stages, it wasn't as business friendly. I think they slowly have gone into that, but not at the time. So we kind of didn't want to fight that. That's the first thing, is to reach out. The second thing is, once you know what you want or what platform you want to take on and what your need and wants are when you reach out, the way you ask is, how do you measure that success? You have to look at it as, are you measuring how many videos they're going to put out for you? How many people are commenting on it? The sky's the limit. You just got to figure out what matters to you, right? And the other thing, I think a lot of people get disencouraged. Like, I started my second channel. I only have 17 subscribers in 2 weeks. I'm not disencouraged at all. As soon as the first person hits subscribe, I'm like, okay, this is meaningful for that one person, right? Or now that I have 17, you don't have to have 19 million reach a month or 84,000 subscribers. Start somewhere and do something. And it's evergreen. It's posted there. And if you're, doing Google search engine and being on YouTube, it just helps you all around. One thing I learned from Thriver, which part of Nax, is people start searching you online before they even reach to your store. So having some presence online, whether it's on TikTok when they search up your name, and seeing how friendly you are to deal with, or they just get a laugh out of it, I think it's a mission accomplished, right? So don't go or be undermined about. I deal with retailers in 2 months. They say, well, I only got 200 people to watch a video. Can you imagine standing in front of 200 people and showing them your video or talking to them? That's great. That's a good return on your investment. So I think being realistic with your measurement is great. But if I start comparing myself that I want to have 4 million subscribers, that's very unrealistic for me. And I'm not going to, and I'll be very disencouraged and have a burnout and say, I don't want to do this.
I mean, that's a good point, especially around social media, because the sky can be the limit. And you can also throw a lot of spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Throw things and see what sticks, right? Follow the brands that you're selling stuff on. So Sour Patch is a perfect example. Follow, if your brand is edgy, follow Liquid Death. They come up with some crazy stuff. Try to collab with them, do things with them. So we want to be more direct with these brands as well. I think that's something we're being reluctant to do, but we will be focusing more and more on that to do a lot of that. So it's interesting how there are certain things that, for example, if my key thing was to teaming up with Monster, and I did that once a year, and we did a collab and we did a giveaway or had their truck parked at our lot, the Monster truck or something. I mean, I'm talking about the big one that crushes cars. It's a mission accomplished, right? We got the buzz going. We got the local talk about it. So I think a lot of people did, again, get disencouraged. Well, we only got 200 views. I had somebody literally tell me not too long ago, I had 200 views. And when I changed their perspective of, how are you at public speaking? He goes, not very good. I said, can you imagine standing in front of 200 people and showing him your 1 minute video? He goes, golly, that would be bad, but good at the same time. Sure. That gave me exposure. Yeah. So you got to.
Yeah, and we found over with some of our stuff too, like because we do obviously both the organic and the paid social, and I think if you don't need a huge budget to boost a post or to see, and it's a good test and learn just to see what kind of traction. Sometimes we put some great stuff out there, and you're sometimes at the mercy of the algorithm of the platform that you're on. Yeah. But if you can you spend $25 to $50 here and there to boost something and get that content out there, sometimes that juice is worth the squeeze.
Yeah, and talking about boosts and ads, all of our stuff is organic. We are not like putting up YouTube ads and everything, even though we could, but we're choosing not to. And another thing is I learned the hard way where don't put all your eggs in one basket. We were heavily invested on Facebook, and our account did get hacked. I did everything to recover it.
They don't make it easy.
And they don't make it easy. I went as far as sending a letter to their headquarters and saying, please recover my password. I promise it wasn't me, and these ads are not by me, and they're in Indonesia somewhere. But that taught us a good lesson of not putting all the eggs in one basket. But it goes back to something we learned from Jeff and Stephanie about branding. And if you have a brand, I think no matter where you land, your tribe will follow you. I'll follow the Seth Godin model. If you have a tribe and you say, hey guys, this happened to me, now I'm going to park over here, if they're true fans or they're your tribe, they will follow you, and it's okay. We had to come to terms that, oh my God, it's been 3 months, we're not recovering, but we finally did, and we're finally able to post again. But it made us reevaluate our relation with platforms too now.
So one of the things that you had mentioned, does the president control gas prices? And that's a blog that Chrissy and I oversee, the Nax blog. And we get some decent traction. And then there was a point a couple of years ago where we were talking about, how come people don't understand that? We said, okay, let's write a blog. Mm-hmm. It connected. And while we were fairly low on getting other blogs to be noticed, this one's at about 500,000 right now.
Right.
It's not 4 point something million like yours,
right.
But it does remind me. There was an article I read in yesterday's newspaper. Yes, a newspaper. And the number 2 best-selling author in the country right now. It was about, number one is Stephen King. She's number two right now this week. The first book she wrote sold 35 copies.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, should I write more? And it's like, well, I like doing it. 35 people liked it, so I'm going to do it again. And it turned out after that first one, it really gained traction. Yeah. So that's my segue to the final thing we'd like to talk about, books.
Yay.
You are now an author. You have a book called Fuel for Success, where you kind of walk through a little bit of your journey and kind of share for others. You talk about being a lifetime learner. You have videos, you have books, you're out on the road talking to people and just inspiring them on, here's my story. What's your story going to be when you're successful?
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Again, back to the bucket list, and you guys are inspiring to us as well as retailers of, being involved in shooting content and everything. I've been blessed to be in the business for 16 years. It wasn't always as easy as I thought. I never could imagine having any set of goals or bucket lists. I think once you get to a point where you're comfortable to do that, it's a blessing. I think before the goal was just making enough to put food on the table. So I've been there, and I share that in the book as well, my personal journey. But through the business, I feel blessed, and I pass that on. I want to pass it on to our first most responsibility is our employees. And then anything we could do for our community, we want to be more involved and do things for them. Because anybody that says they have it rough, I obviously have been there. The first jacket I owned was out of a trash can in America, in New York. And eventually, finding my way through IT, I was passionate about IT, and I studied for that and got a decent job at JFK Airport as a network admin. And that allowed some time to shoot short films or edit films on the weekend, which comes full circle here. So part of my bucket list, and I thought it would be a shame if I took this learning and education with me when I go to a different place or pass away. But I was like, I need to put this in book, and anybody could learn from it. I think the new videos as well is kind of similar, where I will feel guilty if I'm, they talk about regrets. If I'm in 90 and sitting in one of these rocking chairs and I say, what could I have done differently? I was like, well, I wish I put out content about what my learning was in this phase, what I'm going through right now and what I've gone through. And I think I shared a lot of my story with my kids in their bedtime stories, and they got tired of hearing it. So why don't you write a book? And I was like, okay, maybe I'll do. And I love challenging myself through each time. And I think that was part of my challenge to come up with the book and put it out there. And I can't believe after almost a couple of years worth of effort of putting it out there, America is definitely the land of opportunity for anybody that wants to, make their spot or do something differently here, for sure.
Well, I'm sure there's plenty of other lifetime learners out there. And if you want to learn more from Babir and FavTrip, 4 suggestions. Go to one of their stores in the Kansas City area. Follow them online, FavTrip on Facebook, YouTube. Join the 80-something thousand people that are subscribers. And then also Babir. You have the Gas Station Diaries videos, which is going to grow its subscription base. And if you want to read his story, the book is called Fuel for Success. You can find it on Amazon and all kinds of other platforms. Thanks for joining us today. I have a feeling this isn't our last conversation, and I have a feeling it's not your last book. And thank you all for listening to Convenience Matters.
Convenience Matters is brought to you by NACS and produced in partnership with Human Factor. For more information, visit convenience.org.